Thank you all for taking the time to come here. I'm going to get started now that it's right on 3 p.m. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and I will tell you a little bit more about who I am, what Profit First is, what does it mean to be a Profit First professional, why did I choose to become one, and then, a bit more about the certification process. So during this time, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I may not respond to them straight away, but I will definitely ensure that I answer as many questions as possible. At the very end, I will open it up to Q&A and answer any questions that may not have been answered during the time. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura Elkaslassy, and I have the honour of being CEO of Profit First Australia here. As a lot of you know, Profit First is a book that was written by Mike Michalowicz, and they set up Profit First Professionals in the US, and we now have our own headquarters here in Australia. I'm really excited to be talking about Profit First today, and I guess my own journey, as well as tell you a little bit more about what it means to be a Profit First professional and answer any questions that you have. So before I got started, I did ask those of you that were on what you do. So if we've got new people that have got on, please tell me what your business is, if you go by a particular title, and how much of Profit First that you know about. I will be going into Profit First, but not in a huge amount of detail. And I aim to answer any questions that you have. Okay, so it looks like we've got a mix of people here in the room today, so welcome. And I wanted to go into what is Profit First. So at the moment, I get asked all the time, I keep hearing what this Profit First is. What does it mean? So Profit First is, as I mentioned just previously, a book written by Mike Michalowicz, but it's so much more than that. It's a game changer for businesses. It is working with us as humans and human nature rather than compliance side of things. It's being able to make decisions in our business without it being stressful or without feeling like you're not in control. So basically, where did it all begin for me? What was it that made me interested in Profit First to begin with? What it was is I came across the book, and I'd also heard other people speaking about Profit First, and as well as another Profit First professional. And it piqued my interest because it seemed almost too good to be true. And I wanted to understand more how it was making a difference into businesses, because my own mission and the mission of Profit First Australia is to ensure that business owners are being profitable in what they're spending all their time and energy in, as well as being able to make really sound decisions when it comes to their business finances. And so I read the book and I listened to it again on Audible, and then I, attended webinars and that sort of thing, and ended up speaking to another Profit First professional here in Australia. And I decided that I wanted to become a Profit First professional, one, because I really wanted to implement it in my own business and ensure that it made a difference to what everyone was telling me, but also because it was so much more in line with the conversations that I was already having with my clients. So I have my own business, and we offered bookkeeping and BAS services. And what I found is that as a bookkeeper, I was lacking the opportunity to be able to talk about the more advisory level stuff, about, the decision making, about whether a person can afford to, hire that person or make that investment or take that money out of the business. And Profit First for me opened up a whole new world in terms of being able to start that conversation and to make that change in a person's business at a level that they understand. So as I'm sure a lot of you know, when speaking with business owners, they're just like, the P&L the profit and loss doesn't mean anything to me. The balance sheet, what's that? You're saying that I've got profit left at the end of the year and I'm paying tax, but I don't actually have any money. What's going on? It is the biggest problem that businesses face. It's cash flow, it's having that profit in the bank, it's actually understanding where your money's going. And so I decided to become a profit first professional, and I first of all implemented it in my business. And I thought that I was good in terms of how I spent my money, the choices that I made, and my understanding of finances. But even for me, who was somewhat skeptical, because it's like, well, how can it really make that much of a difference? I know how to read my profit and loss. I know what a balance sheet is. Yes, if you reduce expenses, then you're going to be more profitable. What it did for me is it gave me a sense of calm. It actually highlighted, without me having to think too hard, what are my subscriptions, what's this, what's that, where I could spend my money and when. It also showed me the cycle of what was happening in my business. So, for example, subscriptions. I'm just going to talk about expenses for a second. There's a number of other elements that it gave me. But subscriptions is something that you sign up for, you do a trial, you set, forget, and all of a sudden, thousands of dollars later, at the end of the year, you're still paying for all of these things that you don't need. That effectively could be going to be paying me as the owner or into something that's more beneficial. So it really highlighted for me where excessive spending was happening. And even if I did feel like I was pretty good at my expenses, it definitely showed that I like to learn. I spent a lot of money on learning things. And so that really curbed my decision making around that. It made it really easy to say no. The other thing is I actually wasn't paying myself enough, according to Profit First principles, which is 50% of whatever income comes in should go to the owner. I was not paying myself enough. I was paying myself enough to live, but was it 50% of what was coming in? No, it wasn't. And so by highlighting that, it also showed me that, you know, I'm putting money elsewhere. I have always put money aside for GST and tax, but to put it all together and know that I have a rhythm in my business, that these things are happening, it just made it so much easier for me to understand where I was going and what I wanted to achieve. It made my goal setting easier. It made my income goals easier. It made me aware of how I was treating my business and what I wanted out of my business. It also helped me personally because I then adopted these principles in my personal life, which, you know, the same thing. I knew where it was going. And I spoke with another person who was considering becoming a Profit First professional. And in the first instance, they had started to implement some of the Profit First principles in their own life and business. They ended up saving thousands of dollars because you do realize, do you need to be paying that rent? Is that really what's needed? Do you, like, what do you want to take home? What are your personal goals? Profit First is so much more than a methodology. It is life-changing and it is an absolute game changer. So that was my experience personally with Profit First. What made me to become, like, what led me to become an actual Profit First professional and getting certified and all of that? What it gave me was the framework to be able to speak and present something to business owners which would make this change. It also opened up services that I could provide to my clients. So the certification process at that time was in the US, and it is very much about what Profit First is, implementing it in your own business, implementing it with your clients, and giving you all of the support that you need to be able to go out and offer these services. I was very good in terms of the bookkeeping and that sort of stuff. I had that down pat. I could get bookkeeping clients, but what I really struggled with was stepping into that advisory space and providing that more holistic offering. Being a Profit First professional gave me a differentiation. I was able to, most people didn't know what that was, and if they did, it was they wanted to know more. And so it was a matter of opening up that conversation to say, hey, I'm a Profit First professional and this is what this means, to the point where I ended up giving myself a title, Profit Pioneer, because I felt like I was pioneering the way to more profit, to you know, business growth and scalability. It also gave me the framework to be able to put my packages together to offer it in a way that my clients wanted it. it led to the bigger conversations. It led to me talking at events. It really, whatever you want, it gave you an avenue to do so. That said, it was definitely, wasn't a silver bullet. I had to work a lot to be able to, you know, position myself as something other than just a bookkeeper. And I use that term because the challenge that I first faced was, you know, who are you? And the title was, oh, I'm a bookkeeper or BAS agent, because that is what I had always been known as. And so a person would kind of go, oh yeah, I know what you do. And the conversation shut down. When I came forth and said, well, I'm actually a profit first professional, and this is what it means, and this is what I'm doing in businesses, and this is my mission. It opened up that conversation, and people, you know, I saw them kind of lean in, wanting to know more. So I ended up doubling my revenue with Profit First. I became known as the Profit First person in Facebook groups, you know, when it came to the particular industry that I worked in. And it was something that allowed me to impact many people's lives. Even now, and obviously I spend a lot of my time working in Profit First Australia, wanting to share this with other professionals, because there are so many businesses that need our help. It was, you know, absolutely amazing. And I know that it's like, yeah, everyone says this, but it made a huge difference because they get it. Business owners understand it. It's not a really high level. It's not difficult to understand. Where it is difficult is sticking with it and doing it over the long term, because most people want quick changes, which Profit First can give, but then there are other long-term changes that need to happen to absolutely turn the business around. And if a person comes to you and you give them a snapshot and basically say, you know, you're running at a huge loss and you're not paying yourself and you've got tax debt and all of that, this is what you need to do to turn it around. It gave me the tools to not just tell a person where they stand, but to help them to implement it. So did anyone have any particular questions about what I've said? So I hear that, so there is one question at the moment, says, how do Australians handle some of the more US terminology, e.g. owner's capital? Well, the great thing is that having Profit First Australia now, we have it Australianized a lot of Profit First stuff. So the marketing, the information around Profit First that we have available to our members has it in terminology that Australians understand a lot more readily. That said, part of the training is actually understanding what is the book saying versus what it means to Australia, because the way that we do things is differently. And so that's how we got around that. And another reason why we decided to open up headquarters here in Australia, because Mike and Ron absolutely knew that there was a difference here, and that yes, the US terminology overall works, but there are things that are very different, like the way that we set up our businesses. So this leads me on to, I guess, what is Profit First Australia? Profit First Australia is the headquarters here in Australia. We work very closely with Mike and Ron and Profit First in the US. We are part of the bigger family, and we call it a family because we want a community of advisors that are with us on the mission to eradicate that entrepreneurial poverty, or to ensure that businesses are profitable and last, rather than working really hard for no outcome. And Mike and Ron approached me because they saw that I was absolutely part of it. This is part of my mission, and recognize the fact that business owners here and Profit First professionals here needed, you know, the support, so that the calls are in a time that isn't 2 or 3 in the morning, that the terminology is Australianized, that there is someone who is speaking about Profit First in the Australian market and making that difference. And, you know, also we have at the moment, and this is answering Craig's question, about 25 Profit First professionals in Australia. Our goal is not to have thousands of Profit First professionals here in Australia or anywhere really. We want only the best advisors, because we want people to join the family to make that difference to businesses. Okay, another question just here is, how does this back end into the client's accounting program, MyOb, Xero and Intuit? So this is not a software program. It's not as if you tap it on and it does it. It's not like a Futurely or a cash flow system. We do have tools for you to run the reports and that sort of stuff. What it is we're taking off our accounting and our bookkeeping hat. We're not saying, hey, let's fit it into that. What we're doing is we're taking that information and we're putting it into, I guess, human terms. Like, what are you currently spending for your expenses? What are you paying yourself? Is there profit being put aside? Do you have GST and tax and all of those sort of things? So the client's accounting program could be any of those. MyOb, Xero, Intuit, we don't mind what you work with. It doesn't matter, because what we're talking about is the actual cash, the ins and outs of their business, rather than an accounting formula. It's the complete opposite. So I hope that answers that question. Do you have a region/area, or can you operate from anywhere? That's a great question. So we do have people within Australia that work with their local area. That said, in this day and age, everything is online. And like for myself in particular, I didn't want to limit myself to Victoria. I service Australia-wide, as do most Profit First professionals. There is no sort of you don't have to keep it to your local area. We do have some Profit First professionals that live in rural areas, and the whole point that they wanted to be Profit First professional is to bring that to their area. So let's talk about, what does the certification process actually look like? What does it mean to become a Profit First professional? So in terms of what happens is, in terms of the certification, there's three main areas. You've got the intricacies of Profit First. So yes, I hope, have all read the book. If not, you'll read the book. You implement it in your own business, because we can't be advising someone unless we are doing it ourselves. It has to be congruent. And so it is a matter of implementing in our business so that we can understand how each business can be different. The next step is to then have 2 beta clients and implementing it in their business, and 2 different types of businesses. Again, a different structure or a different industry, because Profit First works differently. Also, it may be, for example, if you work with a startup and an established business at startup level, Profit First may be pretty close to what you find in the book in terms of percentages and how you roll it out, and it can be done sort of in one big go. With an established business, you've had habits and decision making over time, so therefore changes need to happen differently. It can't just all be, all right, all Profit First and okay, good luck to you. It's required step by step. It could be just opening that profit account to start with, then looking at the expenses and so on and so forth. And that's the reason why we assist you to implement Profit First with 2 of your own clients. After that, there obviously is the Profit First exam that you have to sit, so that we are sure that you know what Profit First is all about, that you've implemented in your own business, and that you've implemented into other clients' businesses. The pass rate for that is 85%, because again, we want high level. Then the ongoing membership, we look at your niching, your branding, your sales, your pricing, all of that, because you're effectively not just adding another service to your business, you are changing who you are as your title, as your business. You're moving into that advisory space. So from that, we're looking at, okay, so what does Profit First look like in your business? How are you going to offer this to your clients? What is the pricing that we're looking at? Because again, we have some Profit First professionals that work with startups, so therefore pricing is very different to the multi-million-dollar business. In addition to this, there are resources available, so marketing, sales, profit first, lead magnets, anything that comes out from the US gets Australianized here and is then offered to the membership. We also have national calls where we have guest experts come in to talk about all different things, from, you know, tapping into your own referrals to, you know, how to set up your client journey processes and that sort of thing, to also extending the Profit First learning. We have hot seats. There's all sorts of things that are going on. The other great thing is you have access to all of the US resources as well. So you don't miss out. It's not as if we're alone. We can join in on the global calls. We can have access to all of those resources. So once certified, are you then provided with a package to roll out to your clients? So I think I've probably spoken about that a little bit, but yes, part of the certification and next step of being a Profit First professional is looking at, well, what is the package that you're offering? Is it going to be an ongoing 12-month package? Will you have shorter term ones? Is it just an assessment in a meeting? We have some Profit First professionals who want to use Profit First more as education and to get in front of people and speak and do workshops and run it that way, and online accountability groups. So it's not limited to a particular way. It's going to be how it fits in with your business. So that's basically what Profit First and Profit First Australia is available for. If you have any more sort of questions, please let me know. I'm also going to put links into the chat in a minute for, you know, if you want to find out a little bit more, have a chat with me further, or apply, you can absolutely do that. I see, Deb, you've said that Craig has a great question. Then I want to know how you charge out to the client. Absolutely. So the pricing comes into that too, because it's not just about how you charge the client. It's also about, well, what are your goals within your business? What do you need to be charging for the value that you're offering? Because the one thing that I see a lot is that we don't charge enough for our services. And so it is really ensuring that, you know, this. We support all our members to make sure that they're stepping out as a Profit First professional, knowing what they're offering. You have access to me and another team member or a guide for any sort of things that come up. Like, for example, a newer Profit First professional who's going through their certification, so they're not yet certified. They know Profit First very well. They've implemented in their own business. They've started the beta client in implementation, but they were approached by someone because they started to talk about the fact that they were becoming a Profit First professional, and this woman wanted to help her to work out the percentages and implement Profit First in the business. And so she sent me an email and is like, okay, we haven't got to the stage yet where we've worked out all the packaging and this and that. Can we have a chat to work out, you know, how do I have the conversation? What is it that I should be offering this person? And that's the thing, is you have my support, you have Profit First professional support to assist you. So you don't have to say, well, no, I can't talk to you now because I'm not yet certified. You have a network of people here in Australia and internationally. In terms of, I've got another question here. How much is the license fee and ongoing? Okay, so this is not a license fee. This is a membership. The cost is either 6,200 Australian dollars upfront or $620 per month on payment plan. That includes all of your certification and then the ongoing membership. Craig has said, my firm has 3 accountants. Do all employees go to the certification, or is it just once? So the organization or the business gets certified. So there's a head person, yourself in this case, Craig, that would get certified. It is then accessible to your employees, but it is up to you to train them in that. But there is no additional cost for them to have access. And in terms of how long does the certification process take? How much time does it take every week to do the training? It is a self-paced sort of learning because obviously we run businesses and we get busy. That said, you do need to dedicate yourself to this because otherwise it'll always go on the back burner. It normally takes on average about 6 months for people to certify, and that includes looking at the packaging and that sort of thing. Sometimes longer if a person wants to take it slower. In terms of the time per week, it will vary depending on what module you're working on. So like initially, if you know a lot about Profit First and it's just then the intricacies that you need to work on, that'll take less time than someone who has not even read the book. But you definitely need to dedicate a couple of hours each week to keep that going. Are there any other questions? Did anyone want to, have I missed out on anything while I am here? If you think of something after the fact, you can shoot me an email too. I'm more than happy to answer any questions there. I'm also going to add the links here. I love that question, Craig. Do we need to be as hypo as Mike? I don't know, am I as hypo as Mike? I don't think I am. Mike, that's his personality. He gets really excited and he's kind of jump off the wall. I think you have to be authentic as to who you are, and because people want to work with you for you. And yes, obviously your knowledge and value. So no, you don't have to be as hypo, but you definitely have to be yourself. So I've just put the links into the chat. The first one is just a bit more about becoming a Profit First professional. The information that I've told you now is on there as well. And then the second link is just a direct link to apply. The way that it works is if you are interested in becoming a Profit First professional, hit the apply link, we'll have a phone call. So it's not as if you fill in a form and you have to sign up straight away, because again, I understand that each business is different. We'll end up having a phone call where I find out a little bit more about you and your business, answer any questions you have, and make sure that this is the right fit and the right choice for you right now. So I've had some conversations with people who love the idea of becoming a Profit First professional, but are not yet at the stage to move into that advisory space. I'm not going to sign them up because I want someone who feels like this is the right next step. And so, yeah, we have a chat, and then from there, if you feel that it's the right move for you, we get you signed up and you can get started straight away. There is an online university that you'll get access to immediately, which has all of the learning as well as the resources. You'll then get access to the US. There are Facebook groups as well. There's an Australian one and there's also the international, so that we can discuss things, share our wins, share our challenges, get advice from different people because everyone does things differently. So yeah, the other thing as well is with the certification, you do get one-on-one calls with myself at certain stages throughout or whenever you need them. They're half-hour calls, but it's because they're specific to what we're working on then and there. You can email as well with any questions as part of your certification too. So yeah, that is, I hope that gives you a good idea as to what Profit First is, how it's changed for my business, and also what the certification looks like. Were there any other questions before I wrap this up? I like to keep this short and sharp because you know, I'd rather have a one-on-one conversation with you if you're thinking of becoming a Profit First professional. What sort of businesses are usually attracted to Profit First? I'm going to assume that you're talking about like businesses wanting to work with a Profit First professional. Okay, so it depends. That will come down to what your niche is, where your passion lies, what your expertise is. So like, for example, we have a Profit First professional who is all about the education, and so he works with varying sizes. I personally, in my business, worked with startup, and then on the other end, the empire builders. So it wasn't specific to an industry, but it was for people who had been established for a period of time and had hit a ceiling, were maybe not all over their finances in terms of the profit first method, understanding exactly how they could spend their money. And so we're talking anywhere from 250 up to multi-million-dollar businesses. It really comes down to who you want to work with and how you're going to offer this service. So like an example that I'll give you in my own business is with the startups, we'd do the assessment and then it'd be an accountability because that's all they needed. They were more DIY. Then on the other end, I'd do complete project-based stuff with really established multi-million-dollar businesses where we'd look at what's currently happening, and they'd have their all internal finance and bookkeeping and that sort of thing. And so this would kind of be like a review of what they're doing, as well as implementing Profit First to make their situation better. Because my, I guess, where I love to work with businesses was about the business growth, scalability, efficiency, and the profitability. So and that's why the project base came into it. Other Profit First professionals offer Profit First bookkeeping only. So, you know, the Profit First is set up and then they do the bookkeeping for them. And then there is, you know, the quarterly check-ins about how they're tracking and that sort of thing. So really, I know that it doesn't give you an exact answer, but it will depend on your business and who you want to work with. So Profit First works at any level. So yes, any other questions? Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up here, and if anything comes to you after this, feel free to email laura@profitfirstaustralia.com.au or info@profitfirstaustralia.com.au. I'll chuck it in the comments in a minute. And yeah, if you would like to discuss things further, please just request a call and we'll go from there. Have a great afternoon, and I will hopefully speak to you all soon. Thank you.